Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. My name's Robert, and I'm sitting here with now a guest to the podcast. This is Megan Fate Marshman. Typically, it's Chad and I having a conversation about the message, what we're talking about as a church. And as Chad and I were talking with you coming in and speaking this weekend, we thought, let's have you on the podcast and do an interview with you. So the first time I met Megan was on a study tour in Israel with Hume Lake Christian Camps. You were part of that same group, and super excited to have you here with us. Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about your family, where you come from, just like the quick 30-second.
Great, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
My name is Megan. I love the Lord more than anyone else, and I'm doing my best to align my values and my yeses with my greatest loves. So I remember right before I had kids, of which I have two, someone said, parenting advice, every yes is a no and every no is a yes. And I thought, what does that mean? And then I figured it out. So it turns out every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to anything else you could be doing at that time and energy. So when you ask about who I am, I'm thinking, okay, so what are my best yeses? My best yeses is anything God asks of me, and even partnership with you guys, which is really exciting because it's yes, what God's doing here is a yes for me. But then my next yes is my husband, even before my kids. And then I have those two little guys. And then from there on, it's just how to love God and love people well with the best yeses and how to say no so I can say yes to the things that matter most.
All right. So you're going to want to rewind and re-listen to that because it was brilliant, and there was a lot that was just packed in there. But
so you're still wondering what I do?
Yeah, I got it. I think I got it. But you've been going around speaking around the country. When did you realize God has gifted you in this way to communicate His word, and how did that kind of unfold?
Yeah. There's two very different stories. One is more on the vulnerable route, which it's nice to meet you all. Or there's the second one, which is just kind of like how it happened, but I was never pursuing it either way. So one's like, I'm trying to figure out which one I want to go with because I can go two different routes. I'll go the honest route. Why not? We're in a podcast.
Yeah.
This is like,
Safe
treat
place.
for those. Yeah, it feels really safe with all the people I don't know. So truth be told, I went to jail when I was 18 years old because my friends were into shoplifting.
Wow.
And I wasn't into shoplifting, but I was really into people pleasing. And so I show up, I got caught, my friends ran, and I stayed in shock, got caught, went to jail for about 6 hours.
Wow.
Parents bailed me out, walked out of jail.
So that's
earlier, really a part
of
my story.
We were joking about background checks.
Yeah,
you weren't joking.
That's okay.
You got a rap
don't
sheet.
give me a key. So I, but I truly went to jail and then walked out. This is the beginning of my story with regards to ministry and speaking and all of that is I walked out to my mom who was outside waiting for me, and she had her little arms open, and I was thinking, and I would, mind you, up to this point, perfect Christian kid, thought I could have never imagined. Even looking back, I'm like, how in the world is that part of my story? But it is. Yeah. Because then I got to walk out into my mom's arms, and I remember hugging my mom, and I thought, Mom, I don't deserve this. And to be honest with you, up to that point, I thought I did. I thought, oh, yeah, you're welcome, Mom, for how I'm trying to live really well for you, for the Lord, for everybody. And then my dad whispers in the best moment where he goes, oh, my girl. Because I said, I don't deserve this. He goes, oh, my girl, you never did. And I went, what? And then I go to court, stand in front of a judge, and he's like, so all these people from your church wrote letters on your behalf saying this is really out of character. And I'm like, it is, free me, And he goes, I'm going to do something I've never done. And I thought, that's either really good or not very good. And he said, I'm going to have you speak publicly to all the local high schools on decision making. At that point, I was planning to be a videographer, and I was going to school for it. And it was in that moment I realized God had given me a gift to communicate, but I found it through my greatest weakness is how I found my strength. And I love it because it wasn't I went on this trajectory of wanting to become a pastor, and then I became a pastor, and then I did all the things. I realized my life's not meant to be about me. I got caught, my life being about me. But then I got to walk into the arms of quite literally the sign of Christianity, this open arms, accepting God, hugged, realized what grace was, and then had the opportunity right away to speak about it. And so that's how I became a speaker.
That's amazing. So Chad and I, we talk about this all the time. We talk about grace because it's one of those things that's the foundation of our faith. It's the foundation of Christianity. It's the foundation of who God is. And so it's so essential, but you can't always explain it. Like you try your best to go, I just want you to get grace, but in many ways, grace kind of has to get you.
Yes.
And it sounds like that was your moment, that grace got you,
Well, yeah.
was walking out of a prison.
Quite prison. It got even harsher. I imagine, so anyone.
In my mind, it's incredible.
Okay.
It's all the barbed wire and the razor wire.
Mugshot,
and, you know, there's like multiple
Shawshank
gates that you got to
Redemption.
get through.
They're there too, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So imagine being caught. Now, not just the thing you got caught for that's a bad decision you made. Imagine if like someone really knew your thought life and really knew what you do in the dark and really knew all of that. And then the first response is this.
Yeah, open
That's
arms.
shocking. And I always talk about, whenever I talk about grace, it's, grace is wonderful until you have to give it away. Because then it's knowing someone else, like, you know, your spouse's bad things about your spouse, or knowing the bad things about your kids, or knowing the bad things about your friends. And it's easy to want to run and hide. And I think in knowing how hard that feels, to know how powerful it is from God himself.
Yeah. Well, this weekend, you did a phenomenal job talking about hope, looking at the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and just unpacking what does real hope look like. And one of the things that you said early on, you were talking about how all of us stand on certain things, and we're hoping in different things, that there's not anybody who's listening to this who hasn't placed their hope in something.
Yeah.
All of us place our hope. And you talked about some people put their hope in finances, some put it in maybe job recognition, whatever it is. But when those things are shaken, those foundations are shaken and they begin to collapse, we begin to collapse with them.
Yeah.
And so talk to me a little bit. Has there ever been a time in your life where you realized you were putting your hope in one of those other things and had that foundation shaken?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, now that I've shared the depth of my story, that
We already know your
was one of
criminal
them. But that was
background.
it. Yeah, because the thing is, I didn't struggle with stealing. And I think a lot of times we find ourselves making decisions. We're like, how in the world did we make that? And there's sin underneath the sin, and that was a helpful phrase for me, because I remember getting out of like jail, and being like, I just went to jail.
Yeah.
I went to jail for shoplifting.
Yeah.
I've never struggled with shoplifting.
Yeah.
The sin underneath the sin for me was people pleasing. So it was wanting to be filled up by other people's opinions of me. And I remember even the girls I went with, they named me as that right before. They're like, you're crazy, you'll do anything. I'm like, I will do anything. They're like, come with us. I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that. I remember going with them being like, how am I even here? And I think a lot of us find ourselves wondering, how am I even here? How is my world truly shattered? How did I get here? And that's why this message is so key, and it's very personal for me to go, you have to see all the places you're standing. And naturally, we stand in those places. I have this really weird visual in my head. It's the, NASCAR. I'm not a big NASCAR fan. Have you ever watched it?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's like a thing. Turns out there's a lot of people that watch it.
No, there's a lot of big fans out there. I
Big
haven't
fans.
studied our demographic on the podcast listeners, but it could be that it's all NASCAR fans. So I don't know.
All I know is there's the NASCAR, and then there's all those stickers that go on the back, right? And then there's like the main sticker on the car. So this is my knowledge of NASCAR. I always find this interesting, and it reminds me kind of the parallel of hope, is there's lots of stickers. I mean, and it's kind of like there's lots of stickers in our lives, right? You have like, I have my Republican or my Democrat sticker, and then I have my mom sticker, and then I have my which church I attend sticker, and then I have like, there's all these things, these stickers that kind of represent us. And a friend of mine asked how much those stickers cost. It's nuts. But there's the one sticker that defines the car. And it's not that the other stickers are bad, but there's one that trumps them all. And I think that's the thing of this message. And even when I got into the standing, I wanted to clarify, but I only had 25 minutes, but I wanted to clarify the sticker. I wanted to clarify that the other stickers aren't bad. Hoping for us to be healthy through 2021 is not bad.
Yeah.
Being of a political party is not evil, right? Having these different things representing the titles we hold, the identities that we hold, they're not bad. They are part of us, but they're not the primary way that we need to be identified. And I think too often we make decisions based on the small stickers and we forget about the big sticker. And if you look at your social media, I wonder if someone were to just go to your profile, what sticker is it representing most?
Yeah.
And
that's good. Because my follow-up question was going to be, how do you identify what it is you're putting your hope in, what it is?
Put a big Tide sticker right in the center of your,
Yeah. No, but that's good. That's a good way to identify, even just looking at what we post, what we say, what we talk about, what our thoughts are geared towards. What do we think about throughout the day? That's probably going to be an indicator of what that primary sticker is. Somebody loves NASCAR who's listening to this right now,
and
they're either thrilled or they're like, you guys don't understand.
No, that's you're actually right, because I don't know how to say anything else other than they go around a lot.
All right, so this is a random question, just because I'm curious and I'm dying to know. What did you shoplift? What was it that you were?
Oh, it was so dumb.
I want to know.
here's the worst part. So there was 4 stores. The
You
first
guys
3
were serial shoplifters.
We were wow, that hurt. I told them I didn't want to shoplift because I'm so holy and spiritual. No, I was like, I'm not really that into it. They're like, but you're good with people, so you go distract the lady at the front. I'm like, I can do that, and I justified. I think we do that with our sin. We justify. Well, I'm not as bad as so and so in the back, right? So, what did I shoplift? So the first 3 stores, I just distracted the staff workers by being friendly, which, how awful. The 4th floor, it was like tank top, and it was like bathing suits. And I remember they're like, you got to come to the back. And it was such a peer pressure, right? And I remember that little song now, it's echoing in my head. Peer pressure, what does it do? My mom taught me it squeezes the Jesus right out of you, and it did.
Wow.
And
That's the first time I've heard that
You're
song.
welcome. Take that to your kids.
Thanks, Megan's mom, for
thank you.
sharing
You
that
could take
with
that
all
to
of us.
all your nieces and nephews, all 50 of them. And so you pull off they pulled off the tags, threw it in my bags, and said, it's so thrilling. It's like such a token story of like, do this and you can be accepted. And I think we do it with everything. We try to find acceptance everywhere. So it was like something silly. And I even had enough cash in my wallet to buy what I got caught for.
Yep. My wife got busted for shoplifting with her
she?
friends. Same thing. And I think it was nail polish. And it wasn't even like good nail polish. And it's like, you could have bought that.
You could have
you
just...
had change in your couch that would have bought all the nail polish you could ever want. Anyhow. Thanks for being vulnerable with us here on the podcast and letting us know.
I went the nice route versus the I look really impressive route.
Yeah.
I could do that. And I choose to do that just so someone knows that they don't have to always be impressive. It's freeing.
It's good. You said something else in the message. And as you were talking, you're sharing about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and this beautiful speech that they give.
Yeah.
That God he's able to rescue us. He will rescue us, but even if he doesn't. And you honed in on the words, even if. Even if, that whatever life's thrown at us, whatever we have, whatever trials, whatever, even if, fill in the blank, we're going to worship God, and he's going to be the big sticker on our NASCAR car. But even if, and then you said what most of us tend to do, and I'm guilty of this as well, is we use the 2 words, what if? What if this happens? And talk about that, and talk about, because I think it was brilliant. It breeds anxiety. It breeds fear. All the things people are trying to get rid of in their life.
Yeah.
But we keep asking that. Why do we keep asking the what if questions? What do you think that is?
Yeah. I think it comes back to us trying to control. I wish I had more expertise on it. I can just speak from a personal space. So if I can imagine the worst case scenario, then maybe I can control how the outcome could be. Anxiety is such a weird thing, and it's so prevalent in our societies. Like it's like imagining the worst case scenario and then living like it's true. Best thing I could probably say in the podcast would be my husband works in the emergency room, speaking of anxiety-inducing places. And especially in this year, it's been really interesting for him to be working there. But he and I were talking about anxiety in particular. And he says, it's the problem is people come in and they're just listening to all these voices.
Yeah.
There's all these voices going in, all these voices. And he goes, and so I do the exact same thing to him every single time. I'm like, well, what do you do? He's like, it works. I'm like, tell me. And he basically does what Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego do. He gets their attention off of all the other different voices. So my husband's like, look me in the eyes and then breathe with me. Okay, we can do this. And he's like speaking all this. And he's like, hey, if we just listen to my voice, pay attention. Oh, here. Focus right here. We can do this. And I'm really good at my job. And then I believe that's exactly what Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are doing in this speech is they're going, hey, everybody pay attention real fast. God's really good at his job. And if we listen to the right voice, we'll find our deliverer, we'll find our rescuer, we'll find all the things we've been looking for from all these different places and worst case scenarios we've been imagining ourselves. And I think that's what Shadrach, Meshach, and are doing in this speech is they're going like, hold on, everybody. We're listening to the wrong voice for a second. And even if that voice is true and we die for our faith in this moment, even if that's the case, I'm going to listen to the right voice. And that's a profound statement. I think we do it because we want to control. I think we do it. We say even if because, or we say what if because we know, we realize we're out of control. And here's the aha for me about control is the minute we realize we're out of control, that's the best place we can be because we've never been in control. So I think even acknowledging, like you just said, like, oh, I've been there. I think the minute you acknowledge that, you realize, oh, I am out of control. But the aha is, And that's okay because I never have been. And I've convinced myself that I am. And if I am in control, no wonder I'm so anxious.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. As you were talking, so you don't know all the, you're getting to know some of the volunteers and the staff, and so grateful that you've taken time to come out to Arizona, be a part of this series and what God's doing through the people of Sun Valley, and grateful for you doing that. One of the volunteers, as you were recording for online, he's working the camera. His name's Dan, and Dan just got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and he's dealing with that and going through the process. And so I was talking to him last week, and he serves faithfully every single week, and he's almost thanking me, going, I love our church. I love that I get to serve here. I love that I get to be a part of the messages and getting these messages out to people. And he's got that mentality of God might not rescue me from this, but He'll rescue me through it. And as you're talking, as you're sharing the message, I'm hearing it through his ears because he's sitting, he's right behind me operating the camera. And it's so true. And it's so good that God will rescue us. And sometimes it's not rescuing us from trials.
Yeah.
It's rescuing us through trials. And I think we can hear that and go, oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. But until you're in the trial, it means something totally different.
Yes.
And just, anyhow, grateful for you sharing that. If somebody's listening right now and they're in a season where they're in the trial, it's not a hypothetical. It's not a, what do I do one day when? But right now they're in the trial. What encouragement, what advice do you have for that person who's, it's right now, it's happening?
Yeah. I mean, I read, these are going to feel like impossible words, but the only thing I can think of is someone who was in a trial, and he gave these, and they happen to be the most highlighted passages on all Kindle e-readers. So it's popular, but if only you would hear the invitation, I would just say, listen to this from someone, if only I could find it. Anyone else sing the song?
Gentiles eat pork chops. That's how I remember the order.
So I would think of Paul's words from prison. Apparently that's a theme of this podcast. Thanks a lot, Robert. He just says this, and again, the best part is, as I say this, if it feels impossible, good, because then that's going to make you lean into the Lord. And when you're leaning into the Lord, that's when you're in a better place. So if it feels impossible, good. Rejoice in the Lord always. And then he says it again. Rejoice. Why does he say it again? Because there's no bold, underlined, italics, or all caps outside of the Lord in the Old Testament, which meant Yahweh, but long story short there. He says it twice to reiterate this really matters. So rejoice in the Lord always. And then he says this, let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition. You can ask God anything. You can bring him anything. With thanksgiving. I find that key. So you go to God in prayer instead of just being anxious. Go to God in prayer with thanksgiving. So in other words, you're saying, thank you, God, for however you're choosing to answer this prayer. I trust you, even if it's not what I want and not in the timing that I want. I trust you and thank you for your answer before you even give it, which is how then you get to the peace of God. So you begin in anxiety and then you land in peace, which transcends all understanding, which is not only bigger than our understanding, I would argue it's better than even understanding why you're going through the hard thing, and it will guard. God's peace is active. He will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus, and I feel like if you're going through the trial, that's what you need is active peace. And the way to get there, rejoice and go to God in prayer and thank him for however he chooses to answer your requests, and you can bring him any of them.
Yeah, that's good. Megan, thanks for being with us and bringing us back to God's word. It's so true, and it's easy to miss it if you're not in the trial.
Yeah.
And so my hope is people will remember this message, and when they're in the trial, they'll go back and listen to it. But grateful for you, grateful for your leadership, and being a part of, again, what God's doing here. And if you know somebody that's going through a trial, that's maybe in a season of wrestling, would you share this? Would you use this to maybe help them share the message on social media, or send them a note, write them a letter, whatever that looks like for you, and be an ambassador of hope. And again, Megan, thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of the podcast and spending time with us this week.
Oh, I'm honored. I'm honored, Sun Valley. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks.